Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
My name is Ben Dickerson. I'm your co-host. I'm a fantasy geek, and I love everything about football.
About football. He's the fantasy guy. I'm the Madden guy, so we got a little fun running for you in the background. If you've never had an opportunity before, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you'll know when we produce our videos. We produce our videos once a week once a week, right?
Yes, sir.
That's all year long. Yes, sir. Yes. So here we go. NFL, going into week 7. We've completed week 6.
We've completed the second preseason.
Well, that was done.
We're far away from that now.
Yeah, we've moved beyond that now.
Teams are who we thought they were, and some are not who we thought they were. Everything is starting to come into clarity.
Well, there's a question about that clarity thing. Because as soon as you thought you had some clarity, you get a few bombastic trades. Now all of a sudden, like, who's who?
Absolutely.
What's what?
Absolutely. There have been some
surprises. They can't be who we thought they were because they're no longer who they were.
Because they're
somebody else now.
I'm sorry I said
it. But who they actually were is reflected in their numbers. And that's why we utilize the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings.
Absolutely.
Where we rank everything by net points. We're going to go through some information for you. We're going to talk about net points and rankings. Points scored, who's ranked there. Points against, who's ranked there. And the infamous TOD, T-O-D, turnover differential, who's ranked there. The first two, net points and TOD, are two statistics that have both a positive and a negative component. So let's say, for example, net points. Who would be the most negative in terms of net points? If you just think about it for a minute, the Dolphins. Right?
I would say so.
They've lost at a bigger clip than anybody over that period, over the last 6 weeks. So their accumulated net points are well into the negative. And so we're going to talk about things from a slightly different perspective. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our top 5 based on the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus report. The Bias Plus report, again, is that report that we put out. We'll talk about it later in the show. That compares the net points of 2 teams who are going to play each other. And we'll talk about that. But the Bias Plus, being that difference in net point, the plus comes from the turnover differential. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Todd. Todd's one of my favorite people. Love Todd because when you watch who's got the high Todd, sometimes it's surprising, sometimes not. Let's look at number 5. Panthers with +6. As a matter of fact, there's a 3-way tie at +6. Again, turnover differential, one of those statistics that you have both a positive and a negative in terms of that statistic. So again, using the poor downtrodden Dolphins, if you're looking at turnover differential, they are ranked 32nd at -9. So they're on the complete opposite spectrum of the number 1 Patriots. The Steelers at
only
7.
-9. I'm just thought it would be more than that, but
which is obviously a lot. Now, the Steelers have the 49er skew. We started to use the term skew, and I said I'm going to have to name the skews here because there's different skews. Like the Dolphins skew is a whole different skew. But when I say the 49er skew, the Steelers took 5 turnovers in one game from the 49ers.
Correct. So
I'm sitting there at +7. That means that at game 6, the other 5 games, they only had 2 turnovers. So, sometimes the gross numbers can be slightly misleading, but that's what we're here for. Bears obviously are a team that, you would expect to be strong.
Yes.
Seahawks, kind of sort of the same thing. Panthers, a little bit of maybe a surprise. What do you think?
No, well, I'm not surprised. I thought the Panthers would be a pretty good defense in being able to. If there's any surprise, it's the fact that I'm sorry, I'm talking crazy. This is what I was going to say, so you understand why I'm going through what I'm going through.
Yes, explain this to us.
Because I thought the Panthers defense was going to be no less than middle of the road, and probably on the positive side is one of the better defenses.
They got Luke Kuechly.
Exactly. They have a good defense, which means that I would expect them to get a decent number of turnovers, or at least be on the positive side, because tied is the number of takeaways as opposed to the number of giveaways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then I was going to say it's a little surprising because the Panthers have been known to give the ball away. However, guess what? We've been 4 games without Cam Newton. So, young Kyle Allen, good for him, has not been giving the ball away. He's been taking care of the ball. He's not throwing a lot of interceptions. He's not getting stripped and sacked and fumbling. And that's a good thing. Meanwhile, the defense is doing their thing. And thus, they find themselves at number 5 and tied.
Interesting. Good point. Good point. I hadn't really, put it together like that, but you're absolutely right. And now we have Cam.
He'll be coming back soon.
Well, he's trying to.
Yeah.
There's a question.
That's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation. We may be able to talk about that later.
Yes. All right. Next, we have PA points against. Top 5 defensively. You can move the ball. When we played, we used to say we're bend, but we don't break.
Exactly.
We wasn't giving up the points.
Right.
And that's the bottom line. Titans in 5th place with 92 points given up through 6 games.
As poorly as they have played offensively, they make you struggle to score on them.
Bills, your call early in the season.
Bona fide defense. Coming off a bye, so their numbers are a little low. They're going to jump higher.
Bears.
We expected them to be in here.
You expected them to be here, but what was I saying to you? What was it? They played in England?
Yeah.
And I kept seeing Matt getting trucked. I think they lost that game, too.
Yeah. Well, again, when we go points against, it's strictly the amount of points that the defense gives up.
Total.
But it doesn't really give you a clear indication of what that defense is good at or not. So if there's something they're not good at, it starts to show itself as we go on in the season. The better overall defenses will rise to the top. The Bears have been strong against teams who maybe fell behind and had to throw the ball on them a lot, or teams that didn't have good run defenses. Teams that didn't run the ball well. But now teams that are running the ball well are coming up on their schedule, and it's starting to show.
The other thing that's starting to show now is coaches' capabilities.
That too.
Because last week we started to say, things like, did the coach see something there?
Right.
You know what I mean? 2nd place. I'm sorry. We put the hand over the heart. My San Francisco 49ers. The funny thing again about the net points, I can't do anything about that. My 49ers have been at the bottom of the rankings. So it is what it is with these numbers. They just are what they are. So I'm really happy to see them there. Their defense, especially having just played the Rams. You could say that we might have influenced the Rams to do what they just did. Should we talk about the trade? Or no, we'll wait.
We'll talk about that later.
Let's talk about number 1. Well, if you want to say something about my Niners.
All I was going to say was, we could talk about number 1 all day. I said the same thing last week about the Patriots defense. They're without a doubt, in my mind, the best defense in the NFL as we speak. And they've pretty much been that way from game 1. But I do really believe, and I think I said this also last week or the week before, the 49ers are the real deal. The win over the Rams was pretty impressive to me. Some other folks may say, it wasn't so impressive. No Gurley. They had no running game. Goff's throwing the ball all over the place. They're looking shaky. Yeah, they didn't look like the Rams that were just in the Super Bowl. But the 49ers defense, that's the real deal. They're serious. They got something going on over there, and I expect them to remain in the points against top 5 for the rest of the season.
Excellent, excellent. Now, the other part of the equation has to do with scoring.
Yes, sir.
Points for Panthers.
Surprise, surprise. Here's your surprise. Without Cam.
Without Cam. Panthers. So you're top 5 in scoring without Cam.
Right.
You're the coach now, Mr. Dickerson of the Carolina Panthers. What do?
You want to talk about this now? You don't want to talk about this now.
Why not? What else are we going to talk about?
Okay. Strictly what you said. I am the coach
You are
of
the
the
coach.
Carolina Panthers.
Yes, you are.
Lots and lots of people will disagree with me, but I will tell you real fast. Cam about to go on the market. Cam about to go on the market. I'm going to ride Kyle Allen out. Kyle Allen and my defense, I'm going to ride them out. I'm going to try to get me a nice first-round pick positioning, whether I have to. I don't know where they're going to end up picking in the first round. I'm going to pick a quarterback first because there's some good ones coming out. And I'm going to let him compete with Kyle Allen for the job. And I should be able to get me some extra picks and maybe a lineman or a D-back or something else that I need on my team by trading Cam to somebody else. We can go on now. That's what I would do.
The funny thing, listening to media talking about, Cam shouldn't lose his job like that. I've actually heard one guy say, and if he comes back, that he needs to let Cam be Cam and let him run around.
That's what got him where he is.
You know what I'm saying?
That was dumb. Who said that?
I'm not going to
Okay.
remember anyways. Whoever it was, I heard him say it, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going, that's dumb. That don't make sense.
Yeah,
But again, philosophically, I'm about the mobile quarterback who can run, but not, I'm still not even, I'm still questioning the running of number 2, but let's not skip over number 3 first, okay? Now, this is, again, a team who I said they look like the Buccaneers of old.
Right.
Scoring, they're putting points up.
Yep.
You jinxed.
I sure did.
You jinxed the hell out of James.
I said the difference was he wasn't turning over the ball like he was.
He went
The
crazy.
defense still wasn't really stopping anybody, so they're only going to be as good as they're going to be. But it looked like Jameis had become the guy that we've been hoping he would become, the guy that could light up the scoreboard and not give the ball to the other team. And sure enough, as soon as I said it, he throws 3.
We talked about the defense, right?
Yeah.
I remember I said I like to look at the neighborhood that this defense.
Oh, God.
Let
Where
me-
are they?
Let's talk about some of the neighbors of the Buccaneer defense before I tell you what they're ranked, okay? We're going to go down. Washington, the team that needs to change their name. The Cardinals. The Dolphins. They're below the Dolphins.
The Buccaneers are below the Dolphins?
The Dolphins on
And what
defense
are we looking at?
are
Points against?
points against.
Oh,
The
God.
Dolphins are 30th. The Buccaneers are 31st. And your Falcons are 32nd. They've given up. Falcons gave up 186 points so far. The Buccaneers 185. The Dolphins 180. That's the neighborhood for that defense.
The Falcons have been in some shootouts, though. At least they kind of were hanging in games before they
So is the Buccaneers. That's the problem. They're in
yeah.
shootouts.
Yeah.
It's only a shootout if you're giving up a bunch of points.
Yeah, that's true. But it doesn't help when you turn the ball over 3 times.
Oh, absolutely
You're
not.
making your poor defense even worse off.
Buccaneers, 21st in turnover differential with -2. Their neighbors are the Broncos, the Washington team that needs to change their name. The Bills are on the negative side of turnovers with -3. That's probably one of their
A
challenges.
little fumbling issue.
The neighborhood for -3 also includes the Cowboys and the Rams.
In fact, I think that's a Patriots skew for them, if I'm not mistaken. Patriots game is the only game they really didn't play well.
They got a turnover in their favor, though. Bills.
In that game?
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was in the end zone. Brady threw an interception in the end
Yeah,
zone.
but how
which
many
he
times did they
hardly
get?
ever does.
But how many times did they get the Patriots the ball?
Well, I'm just saying. They did have at least one. I saw
think that's
that much I can tell you for sure.
All right, well,
They had just one, buddy.
they're that low. They got some things to work on.
Some things.
Luckily, they keep other teams out of the end zone. So
the Ravens, 184 points they put up, second only to the Patriots at 190. Now you'll notice my Niners are not in that top 5, and so they're
nor should they be.
Well, it would be nice. I wouldn't mind it. They're
sure
actually 12th. Their neighbors are one side right below them, the Packers at 142, and right above them, the Vikings at 150.
Okay, all 3 of those teams you just named, the Niners, the Vikings, and the Packers, are not lighting up the scoreboard.
That's right. That's right. But we are lighting up the rushing yardage and the time of possession.
So you like the way they're playing? All 3 teams.
Well,
and you're right. Those things all stand for all 3 of those teams.
Let's put it this way. The funny thing is, 2 of those teams, you might question the quarterback a little bit.
Okay.
Well, you might question Garoppolo.
I know you
might question
A-Rod.
No, it's not that I love A-Rod.
Discount,
I'm just
double
saying,
check, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers is Mr. Rogers. You want to question Garoppolo? You need a couple more. You need to see a couple more games before you're really impressed. They're coming.
This was interesting.
Mr. Cousins, he showed a little something.
What he showed is if your defense stinks, he can light you up. That's what he showed.
I didn't say it. He said it.
That's what I said. I said it. I actually said it. All right, so Patriots. Everybody worry about the damn offense.
Why? Who's worried?
I'm hearing everybody on the media talking about the offense. Oh, they don't have this. They're all like on their knees talking about, is Gronk going to come back?
That's a valid question.
They're even talking
I'm not
about
worried.
that they still actually want AB. It's amazing when you listen to what's on.
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, I think that because they're saying the Patriots are in that ultimate quest to win and make their team better. So whatever it is that they think can make their team better, even if they're already number one, they're going to try to do it. That's kind of how they are. Is what they've kind of.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that.
I ain't mad at that.
Sure.
I don't know if bringing AB back. Well, he played well, but he is an ultimate distraction. And Gronk, apparently he kind of joked around a little bit about whether he would come back, and and even the owner said, well, he hasn't signed his retirement papers yet, But then, you start to hear this about, how much suffering he did, not just physically, but mentally, from everything. And then why would he come back from that? Chris Carter said he tried to come back and said, damn, it killed him. He said he wound up in the hospital.
Yeah.
You can't just come back.
No, it's not like you just decide, you know what, I think I want to come back. I'm sure it hasn't been easy for Jason Witten.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, he
was only out a year, but.
Yeah, but he's a shell of himself if you really watch him.
Think so?
Yeah.
He's had a few good catches. He's probably in
the hands are the last thing to go.
It might be true.
He ain't running those spectacular routes. It's like, oh, quick, throw to me.
Well, again.
Believe me, they fit him in the offense where they need him, where he can help them.
Yeah.
And he's helping them. So it's all good.
All right.
It's all good.
So once you've looked at Todd, then you've looked at points against. Then you looked at points for. Let's do the math. Net points, that difference between points for and points against. And let's see who's who.
Okay.
Right? So this is who's really getting it done right now at the top of the leaderboard. Again, you've got the Cowboys. I mean, this is a team that they're talking about is, the coach on the hot seat, is Dak, on the hot seat.
Right.
You know what I mean? The contract scenario, all that kind of stuff. So there's so much controversy. And then they have a division game this week, which we'll talk about in the Bias Plus report later on, which is based on net points. Again, the difference. So when we talked about bias points, for example, let me just say, if the Cowboys were to play the Ravens, okay, the difference in net points is 5. the Ravens would be favored by a bias score of 5. And then we'd add the differential in for the bias plus.
Turnovers, sure.
So again, just to help people understand, it's not rocket science,
no.
but we are looking at what they've actually done and trying to discern some information from that. I call it a lagging indicator, but an indicator nonetheless, and a good place to start when you're looking at, these teams to kind of know who they actually are, not who they think, And again, there's some skew in there. That's probably helping the Patriots because they played the Dolphins. That's the Dolphins skew. People get to run up the score.
Everybody on this list played the Dolphins.
Yeah, everybody did, didn't they? So I guess that there's the Patriots are still the Patriots.
Skew's starting to go away, but the Patriots are the Patriots. First of all, they're number one. They're the only triple-digit
first
entry, and it's a big look at the difference between number 1 and number 2. And the Niners are on the rise. They've hopped over the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Vikings in the recent weeks. So what does that tell you about the difference between the Patriots and guys that have been around, like the Ravens, with the Miami speed because they played them early?
Back their tight end that they had just cut.
Ben Watson.
Yes. Ben Watson. Yeah, just brought him back. So that is your top 5 in net points. Just for and giggles, let's look at all 32 teams. Now, that might be a little difficult for you to see. If you get a chance on Facebook, you can blow that up. Matter of fact, let me see if I can blow that up a little bit more. There you go.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. So, again, we talked about the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, ranking all 32 teams by net points. You have both a positive and a negative aspect to this ranking. And you have the polar opposites there, with number 1 being the Patriots at about a little under 150. What do we say they were? 142.
Yeah.
And then you look on the polar opposite, and you have your Dolphins at minus 138. So, again,
they're almost as bad as the Patriots are good.
I know.
It's terrible.
It's like opposite universes or something like that.
Real close.
Right in the middle, at net point 0, you'll see the Broncos. Net point 0.
Yeah, so these teams that are hoovering around the middle, think about it. Broncos just had a big win, didn't they? This weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. Right above them, you got the Lions, who have been scaring the bejesus out of teams. Okay. Lions. The Chargers, who look like they were going to be really good, but they're kind of faltering a little bit. So you'd expect them to be higher, but they've fallen down some.
Right in the middle at 16th with a net
and then on the other side,
2.
Right on the other side of the Broncos, what is that? The Rams?
The Rams.
What the heck are they doing down there?
What are the Rams doing? Well, they played the Niners.
Right. And
then you have the Colts. Points up.
So my thing is, all those teams 2 or 3 below and 2 or 3 above the Broncos, who are sitting right at 0.
Or what I would call the neighborhood.
Right. They're all teams to watch. They're not dead yet.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But we could be watching them die, or we can be watching them rise.
Well, let me ask you a question. Here's 2 teams. Would you say they're already dead relative to net points? That's the Raiders at 24 with minus 20, and the Browns. Oh, no, the Jaguars. The Browns are even lower. They're 26 or 25th with negative 34 net points. Jaguars are negative 14. So we're 6 games in. I don't see any of these teams. And again, I'm starting at the Super Bowl. So
okay.
No. Well,
let's say
when you're down, anything below the Buccaneers right now. The Buccaneers are 22nd. And that lets the Steelers and the Colts off the hook and the Rams off the hook.
So wait a minute, there's 32 teams, right?
Uh-huh.
So middle of the road is 16, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's start there and say, who do we think possibly that's below 16 has a chance to make it to 16 or above?
If you want. Take a look right there.
You
know? So again, I'm looking at those that are
I would say
slightly
the Lions,
below.
the Broncos, the Rams, the Colts.
Right, just slightly below. That neighborhood is still dangerous.
Yes.
Everything down to about the Steelers.
Right.
The
That's
Buccaneers,
still,
Jags, Raiders, Browns,
No.
Cardinals, Giants, Falcons, Jets, Bengals.
I say no.
Washington and Dolphins.
I say no.
No, that's what I'm saying. So you pretty much know what the deal
Right.
is with the
I'm not
teams.
saying they stink. I'm not saying they're never going to win another game, but they will not rise above middle of the road.
And as we always say, the Bias Plus report, we do that on a game-by-game basis. It's never going to be 100%. I was 70-some% last week. You were like closer to 80 or something. You were an extra point above me or extra win above me. And that, so as the year moves on, the season moves on, it's going to get more and more accurate,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as these teams become who they are and become a little more consistent. But really where it shows is as you start to move toward the end part of the season, you know who the bullies on the block are.
Absolutely.
You know these guys are gonna have to fight it out.
Right.
It's this little group right here, that neighborhood.
Right.
If you want to step up in that neighborhood,
Right.
you're gonna have some problems.
And there's some good teams in that neighborhood.
There's some good teams.
I'm looking at just the top 10, and I can't stop at the top 10. I mean, we're talking about overall net points. Look at the Seahawks, the Bears, the Eagles, the Saints. These teams they all have shots.
Seahawks are my sleeper.
They
are
have
at 11. So when I say sleeper, that's a sleeper right there.
Right.
You might not think about them real seriously right now.
Right.
But
I mean, if the Saints are sitting at 14 and we're saying 16 is middle of the road, and you've seen the Saints, they're playing well, and Drew Brees is due to be back in a couple of weeks. That's a team I'm watching. I expect to be watching the rise.
Yeah, where they at now?
But that means somebody's got to fall.
They're 14th plus 6. The Eagles are 13th plus 12. So that gives you that idea about where they.
That may be a team that we're watching fall. Somebody's got to fall for somebody to rise.
To rise, yeah. Absolutely.
If we didn't keep 17 to 32, that'd be interesting. You see some names popping in and some teams dropping out.
Now, I heard today, and I mentioned to you, I think last week, what's his name? Kareem Hunt?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Suspension's coming off.
Yeah,
we
coming
can't.
back. Yeah. So, the Browns, and again, some has
a little dilemma.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a dilemma, but now they would have two good runners, assuming Chubb's still healthy. And if they focus their offense correctly, on those backs, you know what I mean?
Well, they haven't been working committee. It's pretty much been Chubb's show. So now kind of deciding how you're going to do that is not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, it's going to take some work.
What a problem to have.
Yeah.
What a problem to have. Okay. Sterling Net Point Power Rankings top 5. We're going to wrap this part up. Any last things to say about that relative to
I think we're good.
Okay, we did that. Stick with us. We're going to move on to a review of last week and just take a quick look at those games. All right, and so in this segment, we're going to take a quick look back at week 6 and kind of go over it. Ben, you did pretty good last week.
I did very well. 78%, correct.
78%. Now, the net points were 71%. And that's what you call an unmanaged number. It is what it is type
Right.
number. All right. So, that's why we like to follow it. That's why we like to talk about it, because there's a certain amount of accuracy there. All right. So, Ben, your boys had to play the Patriots last week. Any last words? Any final comments?
This is the thing. I was so happy to see them actually play pretty well in the first half. They hung in there. They got a couple takeaways. They were tackling. They were really making it tough for Brady. And it was a game. Going into the third quarter, it was still a game. And then the wheels kind of fell off, and I wasn't shocked that happened. But it did my heart good to see them kind of pull themselves together and really go after this team that's obviously far better than they are, and really attempt to give the home fans a show and try to pull out a win. So I was real happy about that. Saquon is coming back, y'all. Fear not.
Saquon's coming back. All right, who's up next for last week? It was such a crazy week for me. Usually I try to go back and, look at the all 22s and all of these, but some of the games, I just tried to focus in on Sunday because that's the day I had. Panthers, Buccaneers. So last week, Panthers, Buccaneers, Carolina was favored by 19 with a bias plus score of 19.
Yeah, I went against the bias on this one because Tampa Bay was at home, and because I had just talked so glowingly about the relationship between Bruce Arians and Jameis Winston, and that Jameis seemed to be becoming the kind of quarterback that we all hoped he would, where he could ring up a lot of touchdowns and throw these bombs and not give the ball away, and then he turns around and he throws 3 picks. So I lost that game, needless to say. Carolina took advantage. Kyle Allen's still playing well at quarterback. And
controversy.
They went into Tampa Bay and got the win.
Absolutely. Next up, Saints, Jaguars. Again, we are at Ben & Barry on football, so you know where to go for your highlights. Game 6 highlights, Saints, Jaguars. Now, what happened with that? Where's that game?
I don't know.
Here.
I see it.
New Orleans. Only 11, bias plus of 11 in the Saints' favor.
Yeah, that was small, and Jacksonville was at home, but the Saints are playing well, so I went with them, and I won that game. Teddy Bridgewater, the ultimate game manager. Alvin Kamara didn't have a big game, but he did enough to keep the Jacksonville defense aware of the run game, and Teddy threw the ball pretty well, and they got the win. The Saints defense is playing pretty well also, so that's something to watch. But, Jacksonville I don't think is going to be much of a threat to do too much this season. They've already lost Jalen Ramsey, which is something we'll talk about later. So, good job by the Saints.
By later, he means when we do the Bias Plus report on the upcoming Week 7 slate of games. But again, we're running through just quickly last week's games. This was our intriguing game of the week.
Yes.
Now, Kansas City favored by a bias plus of 14. They were tied on net points, so that was all net points there. And I was just looking forward to the talent at quarterback. Again, obviously, what you said about Deshaun working the pocket much better than what he had earlier. I still had visions, I guess, of his earlier years when I was saying he was running a little too much. I don't like to see them run if they don't have to, but he's getting it done, man. When you get it done against the Chiefs, even though with the Chiefs defense, they're not the strongest defense. I mean, points against, where are the Chiefs? I'm starting at the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Start at the bottom, work your way up. You'll find them.
They are 21st. They've given up 144 points. But guess who their neighbors are? At one above, the Ravens. One below, the Seahawks. So, that's not bad neighborhood to be in defensively, but it is a little on the lower side of the things economically there. But what you think about that game?
Well, before this game, there was a lot of talk about Deshaun versus Patrick Mahomes. Who's better? Guys are like, oh, Mahomes, he's on the short list of the MVP candidates, and Deshaun might get there. I don't know. He's really good, but it's funny how people start off talking about this guy versus that guy, but somehow the rest of the team kind of gets in the mix, okay? Which it is a team sport, so I guess you kind of have to do that. The problem is the Chiefs are showing a lot of chinks in their armor, you know? We kind of already knew where the Texans' chinks were, you know? So for Deshaun to go in there into Kansas City in that environment and pretty much, dare I say, outplay Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I didn't look at the statistics
The week
man
before
for man.
going into that game, he had a perfect quarterback rate.
That's right. So
And
he's on top of his
he
game.
had an interview where he blew everybody's mind when he ran down what he was
that was
saying on the
beautiful.
play.
That was so beautiful.
You know, and everybody's like, oh,
That was so beautiful.
he's so intellectual. He's so smart.
And he shut the media guys down because they'll ask questions that kind of try to put you on the spot to see if they can get you to like say something controversial or possibly get angry and lash out at them, or they're looking for stuff to write. They don't really want an answer to the question. They're looking for something to write. And all he did was straight up, technically, answer the question. They were in this. So we tried to run that. Then they switched to this. If we went here, they went there. I got to this down. We were at this position on the field. They showed me this. I knew in film study that what they were looking for, so I tried to go away from it, but it still wasn't there. And he was breaking it down. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And then he said,
Coach.
And then he dropped the mic and left.
Oh, he dropped the mic on him?
Well, I mean, he didn't physically drop the mic. He just, I think he was like, looked around like, any more questions? And everybody just was standing there going, oh.
He talked some real football to him, and they wasn't ready for real football.
Exactly.
You know? And they were looking for controversy. Now, if they wanted controversy, this is where they needed to have controversy. Because the Eagles had a linebacker who started talking smack about Kirk Cousins.
Why these no-name dudes always got something to say?
And now he's cut from the team.
Yeah.
He's gone now.
Not only did he talk junk, but he didn't do nothing in the game. You got to at least do something in the game.
Could have did a Kwiatkowski and sacked the hell out of
you have to
Kirk Cousins.
You have to actually have that ability.
I'm like on the Kwiatkowski bandwagon now. Half the people out there,
they're like, who the hell is Kwiatkowski? Yeah, we might have to go back and show that video sometime.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was controversy in this game, and the controversy was Kirk Cousins has not been playing well, at least in the passing game. And people are saying, well, don't worry about it. They're a running team anyway. They got Dalvin Cook, da-da-da. Meanwhile, Stephon Diggs and even Adam Thielen are like, yo, you got to get us the ball. So, number one, they're receivers, so they're divas and they want the ball. Yeah. Number two, they are kind of right, though. And number three, if you don't get them the ball, I don't care how good Dalvin Cook is, you lose your balance and you're going to start to lose games. So, could Kirk Cousins get it done? Against the Eagles secondary, he could. Now,
he wasn't exactly getting crushed by the Eagles front seven either.
That's right. Did they lay a hand on him? Did he get sacked?
Probably. I have to check the sacks. But Kirk Cousins, give him time. Now, number one, if anybody is comfortable playing the Eagles, it's probably Kirk Cousins. They were in the same division.
That's true.
So he probably thought he was in a team that needs to change their name uniform. But as far as he's concerned, oh yeah, I know that guy. I can drop that right over. But if you looked at the matchups, you got two wideouts, like they have.
They're good
you got matchup
players.
Issues on your defense.
Absolutely.
I hear the Eagles tried, and I don't know why they didn't, but I hear they did try to get Jalen Ramsey.
Okay, well,
I don't know why it didn't happen.
I don't either because two
Search
number ones. They
duck, was it duck, go? I was going to say I was going to say Google, but you know about duck, go?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
So anyway, that's another search engine. But long story short, check it out That's what we hear if you want to find out. And let us know why. Because, again, I didn't have time to go through and check all of that out. But long story short, Vikings took that one.
Yeah, I think the main thing you said that was absolutely right was if you give Cousins time, the type of talent that he has at wide out, he's gonna make those throws and he's gonna make those completions.
Bengals, Ravens. All right, Baltimore was favored at a bias plus score of 99, so they just ought to have taken care of it.
Yeah, that's a big number, and I had no doubt on that one. Cincinnati is really, really poor. They're poor talent-wise. They've been hit hard with injuries. They're going to be hard-pressed to win games. And I don't see them beating anybody in that division at all. So this was a no-doubter for me as far as the Ravens were concerned.
Okay. Moving right along here.
Somebody had to win this one.
The Washington team that needs to change their name against the Miami Dolphins. The Washington team that needs to change their name had a bias plus score of 62 in their favor going into this game.
And silly me, I picked the Dolphins. They were home. The Washington team just fired their coach. Adrian Peterson's showing his age. I was like, this is it. This is the one. This is the one they're going to win. Couldn't get it done. I'd have been in the 80th percentile.
It was a game, though.
It was a game.
You know.
It was a game. It's they're tanking. I can't forget. They're tanking. They're playing dudes off of the practice squad. They're putting in guys, and the announcer's saying, this is his first game. I'm going, huh? It's like game 6.
We're recruiting out of the XFL. Guys,
they're not even doing that.
Moving right along. Seahawks, Browns, Rude Awakenings.
Good game.
Oh, man. My sleeper team. And it's like
I picked them.
They're in my division, so they're a sleeper team. So your ego says, yeah, you want them to do good, but as a division team, you're like, nah, I want you guys to lose.
Well, that's what happens when you pick a sleeper in your own division.
Yeah.
You have these thoughts, But I picked them for the. You know why I picked them?
Right.
Basically for the same reason. Let's put it this way. I went against Cleveland for the same reason that I went against the Washington team that needs to change their name. Because of the controversy and the whole Baker and the whole this and that, and we can't seem to figure out how to get the ball to Beckham and da-da-da. I'm like, oh, they're ripe for the picking.
Well, Seattle's not a team to be joking with.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Russell's going to be Russell. They had a few amazing plays,
yes.
in that game.
Yes.
And
it was quite a game, actually, to watch. It was a good game to watch.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of so.
Yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff happening. But Seattle had a bias plus 51 in their favor, bias plus 1 out on that one.
Yep.
Let's see here. Who do we have next? Yeah, this is so much fun. Cardinals. And we said last week, and I'm going to have to say it again in the upcoming session. Oh. Shame on the Falcons that you got this rookie team and they're favored in the net point rankings.
They earned that.
Arizona at 16 bias plus score in their favor.
They own that. They earned that.
Yeah,
they had the turnover differential too.
We're talking about playing a team with a veteran quarterback.
That's true, but that's where Atlanta's at
One
right
of the
now.
top receivers in the league.
That's where Atlanta's at right now. And I know quite a few Atlanta fans. You guys are not in a good place right now. Really not. And I don't see it turning around this season. You all better start studying the draft like right now. Because you got a lot of holes to fill. You got a lot of holes to fill. I picked Arizona to win this game, and I was not surprised.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. All right, here we go. I was a little scared. Just a little scared.
You was a little worried?
Just a little bit. It's the Rams. You know, you don't know what you're getting with the Rams. You know, the net points are starting to really expose them. That's the word, exposed.
That's right. And as far as I'm concerned, they were exposed a little bit the week before, and that was enough to make this a no-doubter for me to take San Francisco.
Well, the Rams are ranked 10th in scoring, so they're not exactly all the way down there. However, they are 25th on defense.
Exactly.
Here's the neighborhood. They're tied at 154 points allowed with the Browns. They are 5 points worse than the Eagles, you know. But the Seahawks and the Chiefs are also down in there at 20. And the Ravens are 20 with 140. Just below the Rams are the Bengals defensively, and then the Giants. So that's your neighborhood right there. You know, we're looking at that 150, 160 points allowed so far through 6 games, you know. So that's, they turned around. They had we're going to just talk about the trade real quick.
Fine.
You might have more on it than I do.
I really don't have a lot on it. I kind of saw it and I went, ooh.
So let's
Rams,
just say what happened first. First of all, the Rams traded away their linebacker. Oh, no, their cornerback and got a linebacker.
Right. Then they gave the linebacker to the Jaguars.
As part of that trade.
As part of the deal for
Ramsey,
Ramsey, along with 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick, I think, in the previous year, like 2021 or something. So I don't know. We all knew it was going to take 2 first-rounders plus to get the job done. Obviously, although the team was talking about we want him to stay, we want him to play, they kept the negotiation part of what they were trying to do with these other teams on the low. It wasn't, we kind of knew teams would be calling them and making offers to try to get him, but it wasn't like constantly in the news. So they did that part of it well. And when they got something that they liked from a team that they liked, because I'm sure more than one team offered them 2 number 1s, but they got what they liked from a team that they like, which is a team that's not in the AFC, it's in the NFC on the opposite coast. They made the deal. Boom.
Now, this is what's interesting. Jalen is known to be able to cover. He's like, he can one-on-one anywhere, he can cover anybody, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
However, he just went into a division where his top contenders right now are teams that run the ball heavily.
Yes.
How is he against the run?
I've seen him tackle. He's not scared. He's not.
He'll come up and really provide some run support.
Yeah, he's not shy.
He's going to have to in this division.
Yeah, he's not shy.
If he,
the good thing for him is who's the best wideouts in his division.
We don't have great wideouts in his division.
Exactly.
You know.
So his job, I don't want to say it's going to be easy, but he will not be super challenged week after week after week like he would be in some other divisions.
Well, you know, the interest, again, you know, it's the ultimate
team game. The receivers in his division are on his team.
The ultimate team game means that, yeah, he might be far superior. But if there's a weakness in the defense, teams will simply isolate him away and go where they need to go, especially if he's playing man, you know. So it'll be interesting. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see what the Rams, you know, can do with them. And Rams also have some other injury issues. So
he's not the be all.
The Dyke or the is still leaking.
Yeah, I mean, it makes them better, but it's not going to save them.
It's
Not going to save them.
not going to save.
They got issues stopping the run, just like you said.
Like, look, even with Aaron Donald right there in the middle, taking up two people. So that's what I'm saying. If you can run on Aaron Donald and the Rams, then you can throw on Jalen. You just might have to be careful doing it.
Well, that's a little bit different.
Okay, we shall see.
If I put him on him ain't gonna catch a lot of balls.
That's true. But if I got Kittle, I don't care if he's not catching.
Oh no, absolutely.
I'm killing it over here.
Absolutely.
I'm killing it.
No, absolutely. Why would I go at the best guy?
Right. I'll run you some, or I'll simply run certain types of very safe little and just get my little 5 yards or whatever. We shall see how that works out. Cowboys, Jets. Now this is one where we didn't call this one. The net point rankings was going with Dallas, right?
97. Well, 103, and then the Jets had the bias.
Yes.
Had the turnover, excuse me.
The turnovers in their favor. So, yeah, bias plus score of 97. That's pretty heavy in favor of Dallas. And they go in there. And we knew, or at least I did mention that, with the Jets coming back, how different would they look as a team with their starting.
With Sam Darnold coming back.
Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned it, and I basically laughed. And my bad. They look good. They actually look like pretty good. So now we can't say all of a sudden people are trying to say, I've heard people trying to say that the Cowboys didn't play anybody the first 3 games. So now we're seeing who the Cowboys really are. And they're really not good. Like they're saying like they're not a good team. I disagree with that. I think they are a good team. I think they're just the competition level's going up and they're struggling a little bit.
Well, they had the Miami Dolphins skew going against them. They played the Dolphins. They got their
but they
numbers
also
look good.
They played the Giants early when they still had Eli.
Right, exactly.
And I forget who the other game was, but it was obvious that they weren't top
you can't
flight
say they're
teams.
Not a good team. They're
you
ranked
can't
5th
say
in net points.
That's my point.
39. Okay, again, relative to number 2, for example, my Niners, whose net points are plus 83.
Right. So you see the disparity. Okay, but that still doesn't mean they're not a good team.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The neighborhood that they're in. Number 4 was the Ravens. Number 6 is the Panthers. Number 7 is the Texans. They're higher than the Panthers, Texans, Chiefs, Packers, Bills.
Right.
So they still have some quality. But we did mention last week, I said, everybody worry about Dak. They need to worry about that run defense because what I saw from the Packers, when they got in the red zone, they didn't have to throw the ball.
That's right.
That's where we talked about the coaches. The coach see something there,
right? Because
they were very effective against the Cowboys, and you kind of don't expect it. You think their linebackers are fast, to the ball, pretty smart. That was a bit of a surprise. So something's going on there as far as the Cowboys are concerned.
Yeah, well, they better fix it quick because the schedule gets nothing but tougher for them now.
Cowboys, in terms of points, 4 are 9th, okay? They are right below the Eagles. Eagles are at 161. Cowboys are at 153. They're right above the Rams. Well, no, they're tied with the Rams at 153, as a matter of fact. Cowboys 8th and points against. So, again, not bad company. They're 1 above the Packers, one of your defenses that you really like.
Yes.
Okay. We don't know how much of the Miami Dolphins skew is involved with that. However, they are 24th in turnover differential. They're down there.
That's not good for supposed good defense.
Here's your -3 turnover differential neighborhood. Bills, Cowboys, and Rams. So
so only one of those teams is in the upper echelon as far as points against. So if you don't get turnovers, but you keep teams out of the end zone, you can still be a good defense. If you can't keep teams out of the end zone and you can't get turnovers, then you're not a good defense.
Titans, Broncos. I believe this is another one. We had Bias Plus was Tennessee favored by a Bias Plus of 48.
Yeah. I think I got this one. I took Denver.
I think that's probably the difference.
Yeah.
That's probably it right
Tennessee
there.
just does not impress me. In fact, I don't even like to watch their games. I don't know what it is. Their games are boring. And they're still high in points against, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. The Titans.
Their games are boring. Like, offensively, they are so vanilla.
All right, let me see here. No. I always have a problem. I mix them up with the Texans.
Nah, Titans. Yeah.
The Titans are 26 in scoring.
Right, but in points against, they're number 5.
That's true.
Because the games are boring. They look pathetic on offense. And the defense doesn't really beat you up, but they keep you out of the end zone. Somehow, it is very difficult to score on them.
Kind of like the neighborhood that they're in net points-wise, they're tied with net points with the Saints.
There you go.
+6.
But the Saints have an offense. That's the difference. They have no offense.
Right.
I hate the Tennessee Titans.
The Saints defense are where's the Saints defense at? Because everybody's talking.
They're on the rise. They might not be there 16.
Okay.
But they're not. But they're on the rise.
They better be.
They're coming up.
All right. Who's up next? Moving right along here. All right.
Okay. This one. They fooled me on this one.
Chargers.
This one got me.
Chargers.
Right now, I feel bad for the Chargers coach. Like he's giving these Mike Tomlin speeches like, you know what's wrong, and we have to fix it. We have to be accountable, blah, 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 blah. And, dude, what are y'all doing? They make the Steelers look way better than they are. Not saying the Steelers stink. I like the Steelers' defense. They got a lot of young guys. They fly around. They tackle, blah, blah. But they got a third-string quarterback.
Backups beating the starters again.
Come on, man.
That's what I was saying. Well, rookie.
Come on, man.
One case it was a rookie with Atlanta and the Cardinals. But
yeah, come on.
Backups are beating starters.
Y'all got to do better than that, man.
It's going to be a change.
Phillip Rivers didn't look good.
Quarterbacks.
I don't know what to say about the Chargers. I really don't. But I didn't like the way they played, and I had picked them to win. And I mean, good for Pittsburgh, but I don't know what to say about the Chargers. I really don't, man.
Well,
I know what to say about these two teams, though.
Let's go to the game that closed out the week, the controversy. It's why I said I kind of feel for the Lions a little bit.
Yeah.
Lions, Green Bay was favored. So as far as net points were concerned, this worked out. By a bias plus score of 29. And they were favored both on net points and on turnover differential. The Lions have just given teams a hard way to go.
Yes.
But the results of that relative to the Lions,
17 overall.
17 in net points.
They're hanging
at +1.
They're hanging right around the middle. That means they need to be watched.
Chargers are right above them. You don't know what to say about the Chargers. Titans are right above that, and the Saints, as we said, at 14th and 15th. Right below the Lions, you got the Broncos, and then you got your Rams and your Colts. So it's not a bad neighborhood.
No, they're in a good neighborhood. Things are going to be going back and forth like this in this neighborhood. A couple teams are going to go here, ooh, ooh. Some teams are going to go ooh, ooh, like that, and it's going to move around. And then out of that bunch, say 3 above and 3 below the 16th ranked team, 1 is going to plummet, and 1 is really going to rise, possibly 2. So we'll see.
The Packers, man, it wouldn't have. That was a close game. So the Packers, even if they had lost, the net point difference would have been small and everything. But they really kind of got a nice break because, I mean, the ability to get that one call at the end of the game, which allowed them to extend their drive, kill the clock, you know, so masterfully that the running back runs up to the goal line and then takes a slide.
Right. So it's not to score too soon and have to give them the
ball back to these guys.
Exactly.
You're going to go ahead and you are going to kick a field goal from like the 16-yard line, or 7, maybe, you know, he stopped at about the 3 at 17, so the 20-yard line or something like that. Something that's right in the middle, very makeable. That was pretty much fait accompli with that. But I kind of felt for the Lions. But you know something? When I watched the hold or the hands to the face phantom call, well, it wasn't hands to the face. The defender had the guy up like this. And he was pushing him back, and the guy's head was coming back. And I'm wondering, okay, they looked at that. They reviewed that play, and they still called it a penalty.
I think they said it's not a reviewable.
I thought they
can't change. They may have looked at it. They may have looked at it, but they can't.
They couldn't change it.
It wasn't a changeable.
Really?
Yeah. When they say stuff is reviewable and not reviewable, it's reviewable with the chance of changing it. And I believe I heard that was not a reviewable thing.
Oh man, that was crazy. So they're gonna have to look at that, because other than that, if that's going to be the rule, you know, then you might want to, you know, put red up here at the shoulders. You can't grab them there either. You can't.
It happened twice.
Can't get
with
close
the same guy, and he missed it both times.
Yeah, and then from what I understand, he's been doing this for years. Like, this is a
pattern. He's like, that's part of my.
And he's never
been right in here
before.
And
Oh yeah. So very interesting. But the Packers got away with that one.
They got away with a PI too.
Yeah.
That the other team could have challenged, but decided not to.
Right.
You know, sometimes these coaches get a little worried, like, if I challenge this and I don't get it. And PIs is really scary because they're not overturning them. They're not changing them.
That's the other part. You know, it's like if you
guys are getting mugged and the refs are going, calls the same.
Yeah, if the probability is low, then you don't want to take that chance.
I don't care what anybody says. I believe that the league is directing the refs to try their best not to overturn these calls.
Really?
Or if they don't call pass interference, to go back and say, oh yeah, it is.
Well, it's having a negative impact on the league, I do believe. Penalties.
Yeah, the fans hate it.
The fans are not liking it. The fans are seeing this. I mean, if you got a 70-inch screen, you're seeing it super high def. The hand is as big as, you know, and they're like, that hand didn't touch his face,
right?
You know, or his arm was all across his
body. I can clearly see
his arms are across the guy's body. The ball's right there. So obviously that's interference, but you know, so and again, we talked about the safety issue. So there's so much, like, you can't even. We talked about the one penalty where the guy kind of crawled at the quarterback.
Yeah.
And he grabbed him around the ankles.
Yeah.
And it was like, below the ankles. Once one was like, geez,
yeah. You know? No, but the problem was it was Daniel Jones and it wasn't Tom Brady. If it was Tom Brady,
okay,
they'd still be blowing that whistle. Kidding me.
All right.
It's his rule. They should call it the Brady rule.
Brady rule. Could be. All right, any last words on the review?
No, just that I did really well and I hope to do well again.
All right, stick with us. Ben and Barry on football, Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. Coming up, the Bias Plus Report for Week 7.
Also known as the Matchup Show.
Absolutely. All right, up next, the Bias Plus Report featuring the Sterling Net Point Power Ranking. So, very quickly, what is the Bias Plus? Bias Plus is the difference in net points between two teams who are going to play against each other,
right?
And it favors the team with the greater net points. So, for example, if one team has a net point of 25, the other team has a net point of 5, The difference is 20, and it favors the team who's been winning by an average margin of 25. That's how that works. That's called the bias. The bias plus is where we add in the turnover differential. So if that same team that had the 20 net point bias in their favor, if their turnover differential was 5 and the other team's turnover differential was 1, the turnover differential bias would be 4.
4, which we add to
the 20. So that would give them a bias plus score of 24.
Right.
All right? That's some high-level nonsense there for you, but it's strict numbers, and it's amazing what the numbers reveal when you start to dig into them, and that's what we're going to do for upcoming Week 7. Benny, you ready for Week 7?
I'm ready for Week 7. Let's go.
Really?
Let's do this.
All right, we're going to have to.
I'm coming strong. No second guessing. No scribbling stuff out. Although it did serve me well last week. I did second guess myself a couple of times and turned out to be right. But I feel better this week.
Okay. I'm on the side with the net points. It's no guessing. This is just what the numbers are saying. Where are we going to start here? Let's take a quick look. All right. Man, I'm seeing some matchups here. Let's start here. Okay.
Yeah, looks like you'll be working your way back.
Yeah.
So that's as good a place to start as any.
Good a place to start as any. We have Broncos, Chiefs.
Oh, this is the Thursday night game.
Yes.
Okay.
Broncos, Chiefs. Chiefs have a net point bias of 28 and a turnover differential bias of 5, giving them a bias plus score of 33 in favor of the Chiefs.
So on the surface, you would say, oh, Chiefs have all the advantages. Looks like a Chiefs game. 33 is not a big number. I will also say that the Broncos looked pretty spirited there last week, whereas the Chiefs, especially defensively, looked a little putrid, if you ask me. The main problem with the Chiefs' defense is their run defense. They can't stop a soul, and guess what? Broncos got 2 good running backs. And then the better they run and the more they run, the more pressure they take off of Joe Flacco. I'm taking the Broncos at home to win this game against the Chiefs. That'll be 3 losses in a row for the Chiefs, won't it?
I do believe. Chiefs come in ranking in net points 8th. Broncos coming ranking in net points at 18. In points 4, Chiefs are 4th with 172. Broncos are 24th. All right, at 106. In points against, however, Chiefs are 21st, giving up 144. Broncos are 7th, giving up 106. And the Chiefs have the turnover differential in their favor at +3. Broncos are -2.
That's fine.
So I think that the Broncos have been developing.
Yes.
They're finding themselves. Flacco's finding his way around.
Yeah.
Again, you got a quarterback who is seasoned,
Yeah, he's not old, but he's seasoned. He is seasoned. He's on a new team, a new locale, new coaches. He's playing for a coach who's basically a defensive coach. But he's trying to fill the void of the leader and the quarterback for a team that really needed one and hasn't had one since Peyton Manning. And I believe I heard a quote by Von Miller that said, this is the best Denver Broncos team that he's been on since Peyton Manning left. So that says a little something.
That says a little something. All right. Talked a little bit about the Packers. Raiders. Packers are home. Raiders got to come to town.
It's going to be a good game.
47 net point bias favoring the Packers. Net point turnover differential bias favoring the Packers. That gives the Packers a bias plus score of 52 in their favor, and they're at home. You think it's going to be a good game?
I think it's going to be a good game simply because the Raiders are coming off the bye. And before they went on the bye, they were playing well and had a big win, if I remember correctly. So because the Packers are not at full strength, although their running game looks pretty good, Jamal Williams took over when Aaron was having some problems. God, he dropped that touchdown pass.
Oh,
that hurt me bad. But
well, first of all, that game, when it comes to dropped passes or flubbed passes, he had like 2 or 3 of them. I mean, the interception. It hits the guy, bounces off of his chest, face, or whatever into the hands of the defense.
Yeah, it was looking like Mr. Rogers wasn't getting anything to go his way. But they worked it out by being able to move the ball on the ground and then throw it when they wanted to. And that worked well for them, and I think that'll continue to work well for them against the Raiders. I just think the Raiders are going to put up a pretty good fight, that's all. But I see the Packers winning that game.
Josh Jacobs coming to town.
Yeah.
Josh is coming. Niners. Washington team that needs to change their name. All right. So as you know, and if you're following along, as far as the Madden is concerned, I play the franchise. I play the season. I did play this game.
Okay.
I only won by 3 points.
Oh, jeez.
But I don't think the Redskins are as bad on the game as they are in real life. They actually kind of was giving me a little bit of trouble here. But again, running team. I'm not a team that's going to run up a big score.
Right.
I want to run the ball. I learned my lesson. What do you got here? What do we got? We got the Niners.
Look at that bias.
160 net point bias, a 4 turnover differential bias, both favoring the Niners for his bias plus score of 164. And guess what? It's not the highest of the weekend.
It's not, but it's going to seem like it to Washington. This is a no-brainer. There's no way that they're going to be able to do anything against the 49ers defense. And you can't win if you don't score. So we'll just leave it like that.
We'll just keep going on that one, right? Niners, baby. Go get them. Go get them. All right. Got a new cornerback. Excuse me. Got a new cornerback. Got the Falcons. Falcons just lost to the Cardinals, right?
Yep.
Falcons coming to town. So
Rams just lost to the
Niners.
Right.
But you got a cornerback now to cover the Falcons' best receiver.
So it'll be Jalen against Julio. We'll see a lot of highlights of Julio running routes and not getting the ball.
Ugh.
Boring.
You don't think they're going to challenge?
Oh, they're going to have to.
That could be a nice matchup.
It could be.
Could be a nice matchup.
He might catch a couple balls.
Could be. Rams are favored. They have a 50 net point bias in their favor, 2 turnover differential bias in their favor. That's a bias plus score of 52. However, on our sheets, it all is in red because both teams are in the negative relative to both net points and bias plus. So you got 2 negative net point teams banging it out, but the Rams are favored in this one.
And somebody's got to win. And I just have no respect at all for the Atlanta Falcons defense. So I'm going to go with the Rams. Sorry.
You like those Rams like that? Right?
No, I dislike those Falcons like that.
It does make a difference. It does make a difference, you know? All right, so here you go. Time for some Miami Dolphins skew for the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills, you know, I took a look at this.
You can't just automatically skew the game. You can't call it a skew till it actually happens. Oh, you really disrespecting these boys now. Come on.
Uh-oh.
They are
what you said was throwing the season or whatever.
Yeah, they take it. But they still are an NFL team. You got to give them that much.
We have, where is this? How did
Oh, there's a big bias. 158?
Yeah. Did you notice? It's one of the few times where in that range of bias score, you have 2 exact same scores. 164 for the Bills over the Dolphins. Bills 158 plus 6 on the turnover differential. giving them a 164 bias plus score, same as the Niners have against
Mm-hmm.
the Washington team that needs to change their name.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay, nothing to see here,
nothing to
folks.
see here, folks.
Bills at home all the way.
Moving right along. We have
Ooh, this might be interesting.
Bengals, Jaguars. All right. Jaguars have a net point bias of 48 and they're tied for turnover differential, so that's 48 bias plus score for the Jaguars.
Bengals at home, but they're not going to be able to do much. I think they'll score some points. I think this might be one of those back and forth games. But I'm going to bet on Mr. Minshew having a comeback because he played really bad last week. There was no Minshew magic last week. There was none. He couldn't do a doggone thing. He probably looked like people expected him to look when he had to first take over the team. But instead, he was all great and smoking mirrors, and everybody's like, oh, this guy's great. He's wonderful. Where did he come from? Well, he had one of those games that people were first expecting him to have. But I believe he'll bounce back from
People
that.
gonna take their mustaches off if he keeps.
They might. If he
mustache.
Yeah, well, he's on the road this week, right? Yeah, they're on the road this week, so it won't be a whole bunch of mustaches in Cincinnati. But I believe the Jaguars will win that game.
Do you believe?
Yes, I do.
Oh, my Lord. Let's look at the Giants and the Cardinals. As I said, shame on you, Giants. You let a rookie quarterback come in and have a net point bias of 12 and a turnover differential bias of 6.
They have nothing to do with that.
Favoring the Cardinals at 18.
The Giants don't have anything to do with that.
All in red.
They don't have anything to do with that. They got to play the game.
And you think that the bias is not going to hold?
In this game, I'm going with the Giants.
No, you fandom going with the Giants?
No, I'm going with the Giants.
You think that the Giants can beat the Cardinals?
Yes, at home.
Why do you think the Giants?
At home, Daniel Jones will be more efficient than Kyler Murray, and Saquon Barkley
is back. Saquon's a gift, Barkley.
I could take my flag football team out there and play the Arizona Cardinals defense and run all over them. Yeah.
Now you're talking smack.
Yeah.
You're talking Smizak now.
Yeah.
Okay, we shall see.
Let's go, Giants.
Net points favors the Cardinals. Let's just make sure that we don't misunderstand where we stand here. This looks like a good one.
This is going to be a really good game. This one was tough to pick. This might be my intriguing game of the week.
You got to make up your mind because the Texans have a net point bias of 30.
I tell you what, I'll real quick. Oh, no, I can't.
Turnover differential bias of 1, giving the Texans a bias plus score of 31.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this one.
Are you going to go with this one?
I'm going to go with this one as my intriguing game, even though I see another one that's going to be really, really good.
The other one is probably the one that I chose.
Yeah, probably. Your sleeper team?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So that's going to be a really great game, too. But as good as Deshaun's been looking, and I love Deshaun, but at least I spoke of Deshaun and the problems he has with the other deficiencies on the team that he is on that will hold him back earlier in the season. He has been able to overcome those deficiencies for the most part over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if he can continue to do that. The Colts are not a powerhouse. However, they got a real good run game. Jacoby Brissett has been, I don't want to say playing over his head, but I think he's been a little bit of a surprise to Colts fans who were really down and out after Andrew Luck retired. And they're coming off a bye, and I think they're going to be prepared, and I think they're going to come after Deshaun, and I think the Colts will win this game.
Going against the bias.
Going against the bias again.
Oh, man. This guy's got heart. Got heart.
Got heart, cuz.
Man, you got heart.
Got heart, cuz.
Division game. Weird division game. The Lions give everybody a hard way to go.
Yeah, and they're home again. Don't they have any away game? When was the last time the Lions were on the road?
Well, they'll get their chance.
It seemed like they're home like every week.
Net point bias favors the Vikings at 56.
As it
Turnover differential goes with the Lions at 4.
Think about that.
Net now to 52 for a bias plus score, favoring the Vikings.
Okay, think about.
I smell an upset, even on the net.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you with me on this one. You with me on this one. Yeah, I'm liking the Lions.
Lions need to be tired of this mess.
That's right. They should be.
And they're
turnover hungry, and they're playing Mr. Cousins.
Even with the complaints about the refereeing, people were saying, well, you can't end drives and field goals.
That's right.
And beat the Green Bay Packers.
That's right.
You're going to have to score.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You got to get down there. You got to get that ball across that line.
Yep.
If you really want to be, up in the net point rankings. You can't be kicking field goals and getting in the top 5, top 10 in the net points. That don't work that way.
That's true.
So, but, the Vikings, I think the Lions defense is better than the Eagles.
Okay.
They beat the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
So now Kirk Cousins is going to have to play a little bit better defense.
Right.
Against a team that's a little bit better on defense.
And he's on the road. And then, so now we'll get to see a little more of who Kirk Cousins actually is right now.
Which is always the question.
I like the Lions.
You like the Lions?
I like
too.
the Lions.
Okay, so a little net point thing going on there. Let's move on. You said that you were really disappointed with the Bolts.
Yeah, and I also said that I hate watching the Tennessee Titans because they're boring. So this is one heck of a game right here. Holy smokes.
And look how small this net. Matter of fact, this is the smallest bias plus score of the weekend.
Yep.
Titans have a net point bias of only 4 points. The greater differential comes with turnover differential in the Titans' favor at 8. Net bias plus score of 12 favoring the Titans.
First of all, every week they're announcing who their starting quarterback is. Mariota, Tannehill, Mariota, Tannehill. I think I saw early this morning they're going to start Tannehill in this game. This is ridiculous. If you can't settle on your quarterback, you got a lot more problems than you're letting on. Number 2, your offense is boring. It's boring. It's vanilla. Okay? And number 3, I'm not impressed with the fact that you have the bias plus, because it seems like you have the bias plus every doggone week. So that being said, Chargers, wake up. I'm picking you to win this game. Please.
Well, net point wise, okay, Chargers are ranked 16th, Titans ranked 15th. Okay. Points for, Chargers ranked 19th, Titans ranked 26th.
Everything's tight.
Points against, Chargers ranked 12th. Not bad. Titans ranked 5th. So
still tight.
You won't need no-dos. You'll be able to
maybe I will be able to watch this game.
And then wake up and find out just what happened.
2 teams in the same neighborhood across the board. So we're talking about hoods.
Smallest
there you go.
Differential, bias plus rather.
It might actually be worth watching.
They're bringing, who they starting? What's his name for the Titans?
Tannehill. Yeah.
So the question was asked about Tannehill. Don't we kind of know who he is? Is he really better than Mariota?
Well, we know who the Miami Dolphin Tannehill was. And people expected him to be a certain way. And since he's been with the Titans, he's kind of – it's almost like they want to start him, but they also still are trying to be faithful to Mariota. That's the way it feels to me. You know what I mean? They don't want to completely crap on Mariota, but he does these frustrating things, and they're like, he hasn't improved. He hasn't gotten better. Maybe he's on the wrong team. maybe he would do better on another team. I don't know.
Again, one of those athletic quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you have those quarterbacks, it makes the coaches' offense going a little lazy because they can, well, just let him run it when they get him to run it. And again, I don't like that. If it happens, it happens. But
he runs, to me, I haven't watched them like extensively, but he seems to run really out of necessity. Like, it's like, I think he's on a team where they're encouraging him not to run, and he just can't handle it.
He still runs,
because they're coming at him, and he doesn't feel comfortable.
Not processing it fast.
Yeah, he's not feeling comfortable as a pocket passer.
2.5 seconds, that's the time Tom Brady gets rid of that ball. So if you can't get rid of it in that time, that's a standard that you need to be aware of and start to think about what you need to do to be. And sometimes it's not him. Sometimes it's the coaching. Again, play actions on blitzes, when you're getting crushed and looking up and guys are in your face, things happening like that. So, okay. In any event, smallest bias plus score of the weekend. All right, who's up next? Yes, the sleeper team and my intriguing game of the weekend.
You're killing me, man.
Seahawks, Ravens.
Could a Seahawk kill a Raven? You know what a Seahawk really is? The name of the bird?
What?
It's called an osprey.
Oh, the osprey. They're fast.
They're very fast.
That's what
they fly down and swoop and grab the fish out of the water. And,
okay.
Yeah, they're real. They're pretty rough.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Ravens sit back reading some dark poetry.
Yeah. That could be scary.
In a dark place somewhere. Like, come on down here. Isn't in this place. Ravens, Seahawks. Ravens, 25 net point bias in their favor. With the Miami Dolphins skew included. But the Seahawks, bias plus turnover differential, bias turnover differential favoring the Seahawks at 6.
Yeah.
So that drops that bias plus score down to a small 19.
That's a nice turnover
and
bias.
The Seahawks are home.
I'm just looking up and down here real quick. The Patriots have an 8. The Titans have an 8. Seahawks have a 6. That's a nice turnover bias.
So we're looking for competitive.
I love the Ravens. I love Lamar Jackson. But Russell Wilson's having a special season right now. Real quiet like. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks at home. And I expect this to be a really good game. If by chance the Ravens win the game, I think it's going to be a nail biter. And it's going to be exciting. But I got to pick the Seahawks to win. It could go the other way.
That Lamar doesn't run too much because that defense will catch you.
Yeah, they'll hurt you too. They're still
get rid of that ball.
Pretty vicious.
That pocket. Use Ingram. Ingram's the man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Ingram's let that go through him.
He's having quite a year since he's been away from the Saints. Some people thought he wouldn't be able to stand up on his own, but he's doing quite well.
He got the Good Morning Football angry run of the week at one particular point. So he wore the crown.
He's a straight up angry runner anyway. Like he should be a contender for that every week. It's just his style,
That's what he does.
Yeah.
And now the Saints have what's his name backing up.
Latavius Murray.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who's not exactly the same, but he's pretty. He's got size though. So
yeah,
he's no small.
He's
runner.
not bad.
You can't be messing around with him too much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Speaking of, did we just mention these guys?
The Saints, yes.
Saints, Bears. That is kind of intriguing too, actually.
It is because the Bears have not been playing well and the Saints have been playing well, and people are still going, it's Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know. How long can they keep it up?
Well, you got 2 backups here. right?
Yes.
Got
Yes.
two backups, right? Bears have a net point bias of 12 and a bias turnover differential bias of 4. So that's a bias plus score of 16, second smallest of the weekend.
Anybody heard anything about Trubisky when he's supposed to be back?
I think that they're going to have the same challenge when he comes back, which is, I think, soon they're going
Yes.
to have with the Panthers.
I knew you were going to. That's exactly why I asked that question,
Mhm.
because it's going to be something that they have to think about. And chances are, him being the number one pick, see, Cam's been around longer. So his leash, I think, is a little tiny bit shorter. Okay, Trubisky hasn't been around that long, so they're kind of tied to him a little bit. But he's wearing out his welcome, bro. And if a guy like Chase Daniel can come in, yeah.
Looking at the rankings, Saints are 14th in net points. Bears are 12th. All right. Bears have a net point bias of 18. Saints are +6. Points for the Saints are 16th, and points against they're 13th. As the Bears, they rank 30th in points for, and 3rd in points against. That sounds like the Titans almost, don't it?
Yeah,
one of those teams,
right.
Heavily
Offensively challenged, but defensively still strong.
And the Bears are home.
Well,
how's their kicking game? They still scared
I think
to
they
kick
fixed
the ball?
that.
They fixed
yeah,
it?
they got the guy Panero or whatever.
It might come down to that.
Panero bread.
It might come down to that,
This game could come down to that, but I hope it doesn't. I hope the Saints go in there and handle their business. That one's tough to call. I'm going to pick the Saints under the handicap of knowing the health of Alvin Kamara, though, because as of today, he was not practicing. He's got a high ankle sprain, and he got his knee dinged a little bit in the game too. There's a possibility he may sit out the game. So, yeah, that's a fantasy dilemma, man. If he's like your main guy,
right.
It's tough. It's tough. And Latavius Murray, even if Kamara doesn't play, Murray's good, but he's not Kamara. You know what I mean? Some dudes you handcuff and you expect them to be able to, like, the Bills have a rookie running back, Singletary, who's just getting over a hamstring. But if Frank Gore was to go down, you put Singletary in, he'd probably do pretty much the same thing. But I don't think Murray can do the same thing Kamara can do. So
well, he can't. That puts the onus on the coach, who actually is a coach who is flexible enough to handle that.
Yeah.
I can see him changing, all of a sudden running a power run game.
Oh yeah, he'll just bring Taysom Hill in,
right,
and they'll go to a Wildcat or something.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Or you might just turn around and wind up handing it off to Latavius like 15, 20 times.
He could,
and play a little grind out game there and see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him.
Keep Teddy in a 3rd and 3.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's a beautiful thing right there. So. All righty, let's see who's
surprised you didn't pick that. This next one is your intriguing game. I mean, it is an intriguing game.
Yeah, neither one of these teams
Come on. No, well, they don't. Well,
neither one.
But the matchup is intriguing.
Same division. There's the weird part, all right? Same division games. Division games are weird. Cowboys carry the net point bias at 27. Eagles carry the turnover bias, which is a little surprising.
A little bit.
At 4, which puts that bias plus score in the Cowboys' favor at 23.
So, Cowboys got the bias. Cowboys are at home.
Cowboys
all kinds of Cowboy coach on the hot seat, team on the hot seat. Questions about the quarterback.
Questions about that run defense and the
questions
red zone.
about the run
Eagles
defense.
Have, I think 2 good running backs.
If they ever figure out how to use them, right?
That's the question.
Well, we've been saying that about the Eagles for some years now. And my quote is, there seems to be no rhyme or reason to how they deploy their running backs. I can't figure it out. If you can figure it out, let me know.
My conjecture, get to use that word.
Go ahead.
again, they put the running backs in on a play-by-play basis. Which back they think will make this play work best.
Oh, this is the play we want to run, so let's use this guy.
Yeah, this guy run.
I got you.
Sproles is the best person for this play.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
So it's not like you don't have a run game per se.
Right.
You know, you do have running plays, but it's not like, you know, if there was a run game. Now, when they had Blood, they had a run game. That's why the RPO works, if you have a run game.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they have two good running backs. A third if you add Corey Clement in there, you know. A fourth if you have Sproles, which we both think he should be playing special teams and not really running the ball unless you're going to put him in the slot or something like that. But long story short, you know, they have some diversity of talent that they can go to.
True.
You know, so question again is going to be Wentz, accuracy, catching the ball, you know. You know, I think that they can probably go in there and Cowboys have a bias plus score of 23. You know, leave it at that. If my wife heard me say anything nice about the Eagles, she'd be pissed because she's like, "You're jinxing them,
right?
Because you said something nice about them." So I'm gonna leave it alone because I love you.
Oh Lord. If that's the way the Eagles see it, if that's what they like to do, if that is in fact, and it seems like you're right. I agree. When you explain it that way, it kind of makes sense from what I've seen. Then that's all well and good. That's great. That's how they like to do it. It's wonderful. But what it takes away is the opportunity for a big back like Howard to really get it going and put a game away in the fourth quarter.
As you call him, the volume guy.
Exactly. He's a volume guy. So if you don't give him volume, you're taking something away from his game.
Now,
well,
is not playing also, right?
I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. He is injured.
The fantasy people aren't all over that?
Yeah, he's got an injury tag. I'm sure they are. I'm a little slow with I had to get out of the house early this morning. I haven't had a chance to sit on my teams.
Can the Eagles defensive front stop Zeke? Can they handle? I get the feeling like both coaches are in a situation where they're going to have to call their best games. They're going to have to go with their money. They can't be messing around. They're both 3-3, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So the division lead is on the line.
I'm trying to remember.
And whoever stumbles is all of a sudden going to be looking at the Giants in the face for the second place.
Yeah, I don't remember the Vikings really running roughshod over the Eagles defense last week. I think they had some success on the ground, but they didn't dominate them on the ground. So that's probably the strength of their defense is stopping the run. Obviously, the weakness of the Eagles defense is their defensive backs, especially the corners. So that's where I expect the Cowboys to attack. And they're attacking with Dak Prescott, who people are now questioning as to whether he can actually get that done. And here's the funny thing. If he gets it done, they'll be like, oh, it's the Eagles. You know what I mean? And if he doesn't, they'll be like, damn, he couldn't throw the ball on the Eagles? He's horrible. So you can't win.
Lose, eh?
Lose, but I'm picking the Cowboys.
Going with the bias plus. All right. Well, that's, like I said, this is going to be an interesting game. And that brings us up to the Monday night masterpiece.
Holy smokes, Bullwinkle.
The Monday night masterpiece. Donaldson is back, baby. He's ready to deal. What's the matter?
His name's Darnold.
Thank you.
For a second, I was like,
Donaldson. I heard that guy. He live down the street. The Jets, Patriots, division, right?
Yeah. What's the bias?
210 Patriots. 202 net point bias. 8 turnover differential bias. Patriots have a bias plus score of 210 in their favor.
Okay.
Now, let's see what kind of challenge you want to put up on the bias now, buddy.
Let me put it to you this way. Last week, I said Dallas over the Jets was a no-brainer. Dallas had a 97 bias plus. This bias plus is 210. You think I'm not going to say this was a no-brainer?
The Miami Dolphins skew, Bill.
Dude.
Forget that.
Forget that. Now, I will say this. this may be a good game. If you're a Jets fan, I know you'll be tuned in. If you're a Patriots fan, take a look at the Jets. They beat the Cowboys last week. Might be entertaining. They're not going to win. But let's see what Sam Darnold does. Now he's back from his illness. He got a game under his belt. He got a big win. I'm sure they rah-rah in the locker room and all that stuff. Le'Veon Bell's all happy. He's in a good place. Let's see.
I'm looking at the worksheet on this, and I keep looking. I keep seeing Patriots 1, 1, 1, 1. I'm like, every category, net points, yeah.
Yeah, they're in
Points
first
for,
place in
yeah.
every category.
Points against, yes, and turnover difference,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's called having your work cut out for you there.
Yeah, they're
JET,
clearly the best team in the NFL.
Jets.
And, they're still looking to get better and clean things up. But if any offense can continue to win with what would be considered somewhat lesser talent, it is Tom Brady and the Patriots, and we all know that. So,
and we know a lot of that bias plus the Jets did not have their starter in there, right? So it's kind of a whole new team. Right. So if let's say weeks 1 through or 2 through 5, right? Because he wasn't there. He was there for the first game, right? And was out with Milano. So let's say those 3 games when they had their third string quarterback running in there,
Yeah, because the second string guy got hurt right as soon as he went right in.
Right, he went right in, got hurt. So points for the Jets are actually 31st. Okay. But you'll say, they were not a functional offense, and now they are a functional offense.
Yeah.
Defensively, the Jets,
they were not bad,
are 14th.
Right.
The neighborhood that they're in, number 1.
And I think they were doing really well in turnovers, weren't they?
We're going to look at that in a second.
They were.
But their neighborhood includes the Raiders,
the
Jaguars, the Steelers, the Panthers are all below them. Above them, just slightly, is the Saints, the Chargers, the Lions, and the Colts.
Okay.
The Packers. So they're right in that neighborhood.
That's the points against?
Points against.
Okay.
Right. Now, you asked about turnover differential. Again, 13th. They're plus 1.
I know
they're in the neighborhood with the Vikings and the Eagles and the Texans, all at plus 1.
So, again, we're talking about the better defenses are going to be okay in both of those categories, points against and turnovers. So there's a difference. I'm sure people are saying, the Jets, the Dolphins. No, there's a difference between the Jets and the Dolphins. A big difference. So
would you say Darnold? That's the big difference.
That's the big difference.
That's the big difference.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier. You start to talk about what a franchise quarterback means to a franchise.
Absolutely.
That was almost the perfect example.
Right. He comes back and they're like another team.
They're like another team. They beat the Cowboys. Nobody expect them. All of a sudden they're competitive, know. And so, I'm sure Le'Veon Bell is levitating a bit. Well,
and there was nothing fluky about that game. They came right at them. They took their lumps and they gave out lumps. Mm-hmm. That was a good game.
That was a good game. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else? In case you had not noticed, ladies and germs, we are at the Sterling Net Point Power ranking page here, which is where you will find the top 5. You will find the Bias Plus reports, all of this good information that we're handing out right there on Facebook at the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings at Sterling NPPR. Before that, we were at Ben and Barry on football at BNBOF. Again, you can find highlights and other information. We do try to add, some good stuff in there. We have all the games here, but there was something that I wanted to mention. Oh, yeah. Last week, and I'm scrolling down here real quick. Everybody can kind of see what's going on. But the communication system broke down for Seattle. And Russell Wilson had to call his own plays.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. It makes the news. I mean, when a quarterback gets to call his own plays, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we were playing ball in the streets, when you're playing ball in the streets, you call your own plays. You know, you get a quarterback here, Russell Wilson. How much money is he making?
A lot.
Highest paid quarterback in the league, right?
He
I
is?
think so.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I think that last contract put him at the top.
All right.
But if not, you can easily say he's one of the highest paid. So
Absolutely.
you're paying these guys hundreds of millions of dollars,
Mhm.
but you don't trust them to call their own plays.
Well, they're paying the head coaches and offensive coordinators a lot of money too.
Not that much money.
No, not that.
Not that much money.
That's because they have to know the play and execute it. The other guy only has to call.
Is that what it is?
So, yeah.
So he gets a little bit more.
Yeah, but everybody's got a job to do.
But you know, I have to go back and kind of look at. I want to see like what plays
What
he
plays
was
they were?
calling and stuff like that. Yeah.
Go back and take a
You
look.
know?
You know what? Also, if you're going to do that, because I know you have the ability to do that, watch and see what happens to the other team's offense too. Because the rule is, if one team loses communication, they turn the other teams off. So it's not so that they don't have an advantage.
And I do kind of remember that happening in
So
like New England, right? Where
yeah.
things go.
Now I don't know
all the
how
time.
long the system was off. It might have only been off during their series that they had the ball. So
Right.
it wouldn't affect the other team, but
I gotta go back.
That's
That's
something.
something. That is something to look at. But that's the kind of stuff that you can find in Ben and Barry on football. Okay, we're gonna jump to the miscellaneous section of the show and get ready to close it out. We want to mention we haven't delved deeply into it yet, but the XFL
yes.
has kicked off their draft. I guess you would
Yeah, they
call
had their
it.
draft was 2 days, so it was today and yesterday.
The interesting thing that I found, and just taking a quick look at what the XFL is doing, is that there's a bit of a controversy because the XFL is only paying their players like $50,000 a year.
Oh, here we go with the money.
They said they don't want to make the same mistake that the AAF made and go bankrupt. I'm like, you got, if you don't have 2-3 years worth of revenue of cash that you know you can run at least a year or two, then you're not even.
You've already made a mistake.
Yeah, what are you doing? You're playing games here, you know. Cardale Jones, one of the quarterbacks, right off the Chargers roster, was it that he was
I
on?
believe so. Yeah, he's been around a little bit. He was in Buffalo for a while.
So you know, they're starting to pull some names in. They've claimed that they're not a developmental league.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means. I guess that means that they're just going to play football and, you know, not be connected to the NFL at all and not be, you know.
Right. Try to keep their rosters whole.
But there were a lot of guys from the AAF who got jobs in the NFL this year. You know?
Yeah, but the AAF folded.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well,
So if the XFL plays through their season and everybody gets paid and they have a successful season, meaning it starts and it ends with a championship, and then they have, you know, the ability to come back again next season, I guess if anybody's going to jump from an XFL team to an NFL team, we'll hear about it. But I think they're going to try to discourage that probably.
well, the timing would be easy if you start your season in February.
Right. That
Right.
means it'll probably end in
May,
maybe the beginning of June at the most.
So that's still a preseason.
Oh, absolutely. It's before preseason.
Yeah.
It's basically off season.
Yeah. Right into the off season. Right.
I wouldn't. I was getting ready to say that would be a long year for somebody, but actually it wouldn't be too bad. Even if if you were the star of a team that went to the XFL championship and you won, and then an NFL team offered you a job, you would still have time to kind of like rest and then get back into the groove of getting in shape and be ready for training camp. It wouldn't be easy.
But you probably wouldn't be starting either.
Oh yeah, probably not.
So you're going to get a chance to get
but
some
you
rest.
still want to
get to camp.
Yeah, you got to get to camp. So
So that was one thing. I wanted to mention the XFL. So that's one subject that came up. There's another thing that came up. It was not directly related to football, but football is life. So everything relates to football.
Okay.
At some particular point.
I will not disagree.
NBA had a controversy in China.
Oh, NBA. What?
NBA, you didn't know about the controversy in China?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daryl Morey said something.
Daryl Morey. So you've got this whole scenario.
I'm surprised you're talking about NBA. That's all.
Well, only because I then said to myself, what other leagues are trying to expand internationally?
Right.
The NFL.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, how it might impact the NFL and their expansion plans. And that question was actually asked. I did find some article information on it.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge with the NFL in China, well, first of all, the NFL hasn't really figured out how they're actually going to expand the league anywhere, in terms of having a franchise someplace else. They're still trying to figure out how it would work in England.
Personally, I don't agree with even trying to do that, but that's my personal opinion.
But what they are moving forward on are broadcasting rights and things of that nature.
That makes sense.
So everybody right now is kind of just holding back a little bit, chilling. Let's see how this thing works out with basketball because, next thing you know, basketball stuff got shut down. Things got canceled, and then you had LeBron. He said his little piece about Morey, right? Mm-hmm. Some of the words he used were not taken well, I think, by the people in Hong Kong who burned his jersey. Right? So you got mainland China shutting the NBA down, right? But they're big basketball fans over there.
That's right. There's a lot of money over there. Which is why the NBA is there in the first place. They're not there because, or they're not. They didn't say, "Oh, we're not going to go and expand into China and try to have relations with China where we can bring teams from our league and have games over there and all these fans we got over there and all this money."
You're talking about the NFL?
Yeah, no, that the NBA.
Oh, they are having.
It never crossed their minds that they shouldn't or wouldn't or might think about not doing that because it's a communist country. They only thought about the money. So everything was cool until he says something.
Well, and because, again, you have an actual scenario now where you have Hong Kong who's pushing for democracy.
Right.
And China is like, no. And it's,
right.
It's
and
almost like.
And we let y'all come in here and play ball and we paying for your sneakers and paying to watch you and all this. And now you got something to say about, no, that's not cool.
It's interesting.
I kind of don't blame them, but I understand why they're mad. But
the interesting thing is, it's kind of like reminds me of, there was a class I was looking at in one of the local community training or educational things, Mount Airy Learning Tree, right? And it's called value investing, where if you're going to invest in a stock, you want to make sure that that stock is a stock that matches your values.
Okay.
That is a challenge when you go into a country like China,
right,
where the human rights situation. Now, what's really weird is when you get into talking to some of the regular people who live there, and whatever that regime is doing, they're like living their lives.
Yeah, they're like, hey.
I remember one young lady, they said, well, how do you feel about the surveillance? She's like, well, I ain't doing that, so I don't care.
Right.
So as long as you're kind of neutral and cool with the government, everything's cool.
Right.
They've had some issues. They've got the whole scenario with an Islamic group that apparently has been being oppressed. You've got the scenario in Hong Kong where they're protesting, and China's been somewhat reluctant to be too heavy-handed in that situation. But it's almost like if Texas decided they wanted to be independent, the United States is not going to go with that.
Right. They're trying to handle their own business, and they're like, we're trying to handle our own business, but we're going to do this business with you over here with this little basketball thing, and it's good for us, it's good for you, blah, blah, blah. let's not cross them.
And the other thing is that good trade can make friends.
Yes.
You know, that
Or
money,
at least alliances.
yeah, that money will keep countries from wanting to bomb each other. Like, I don't, we're making too much money off of America to bomb them. I mean, so right now we have a trade situation where they're into their little trade skirmishes and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's non-violent for the most part. We're not talking about war or anything like that. So all of those countries that are connected economically tend to get along, tend to be more peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the benefits of having good trading alliances. So while it's a challenge to want to go in and do business in a place where you might not like their ethics, you might not like their philosophies, things of that nature, there's a positive and negative to everything. So, the positive is, it could help make the world a better place, a more peaceful place, when you got that love of the game.
Right.
There's a sentiment then amongst the people that, we like that. We like those guys, we like LeBron. Well, at least maybe on mainland they like him. I don't know about Hong Kong.
Well,
but long story short, they were fans.
You see how fleeting that can be, though? If you cross over someplace where some folks would say you don't belong, how quick they were like, what? He said what? And they was like ready to pull plugs all over the place.
Well, they
burned
Jalen Ramsey's jersey in Jacksonville, so that's how fleeting it can be.
That'll be forgotten in a week.
Well, but in the meantime, they burnt it.
They burned the Browns jersey too, and they came back and won a championship. It means nothing.
I know. So then there's a good possibility that this could blow over.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's on a higher level of institutional level, but
that can blow over. But my point is, the people that burn Jalen Ramsey's jersey aren't going to change anything. The people that said, you said what about our country? Oh, they can change something. That's the difference. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Anything else relative to rants or comments or whatever?
Nah, I'm not in a rant mood this week. I just want to watch some good football, man. I'm telling you, I need another win for the Giants so they can become somewhat relevant in this NFC East that's got the Eagles and the Cowboys, both of which their fans thought they were going to run away with this thing. Now they're both sitting at 3-3, so one of them's going to be 4-3. And if we got 3 wins, and one of them has 3 wins, and one of them has 4 wins, guess what? The Giants are relevant.
You're right in there.
Right in there.
You got to win your division.
That's right. Then those games get real scary.
So, all right. Any last words? This is Ben and Barry on football again. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Remember to hit the notification if you're on YouTube. Remember to find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And if you go to www.benandbarryonfootball.com, you will go directly to our YouTube page where all of the videos are. That being said, any last words?
Go Noles.
Excellent.